Exclusive aerial shots from Movie-Tone's helicopter with the greatest football crowd in the country's history at Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's the Victorian Football League Grand Final between Collingwood and Melbourne. Today, traffic and crowd handling are being used as a rehearsal for the Olympics. And the 116,000 people who packed the ground are an ideal test. Our cameras show the favourites, Melbourne, skippered by Noel McMahon, followed by Collingwood, captained by Neil Mann, playing his last big game. On the bounce, Cordner hits out well for the Demons, who, true to name, storm forward. A good mark by Webb, followed by a goal, keeps Melbourne within striking distance. On the second quarter, Melbourne bustling tactics begin to take effect on Collingwood's lighter 18. And by the third quarter, the Demons hold a commanding lead. Here's another opportunity for the Demons, and Big Bob Johnson makes no mistake. Settling down, the Demons' fitness and ruggedness overcome the early blistering pace of the Magpies, and the game becomes one-sided, with Collingwood offering only token defense. Adams marks well, keeping possession for Melbourne. His kick downfield is good, and Barassi takes the mark. The brilliant Barassi adds another goal to Melbourne's tally, and the Demons go away to win the premiership by 121 points to 48 in the biggest grand final ever.
On to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, a preview of the Olympic Games. But today's big sporting event is the Victorian Rules Grand Final between the favourites Melbourne, the Demons to you, and Collingwood, better known as the Magpies. Seconds to go now, everyone is tense. And here's the bounce. The grand final's underway. Collingwood got a goal soon after the start, and now it's Melbourne's turn. The huge crowd wants speed and gets it. It's a rugged, fast-moving game with Collingwood speed worrying Melbourne early. The Demons are winning opportunities aplenty, but are breaking down in front of goal where their forwards are spoiling each other by crowding. It's not long before the tide turns, though. The Magpies are tiring, and Melbourne quickly settling down into attack with long, accurate kicking. The Demons are right on top now. It's terrific football. Here comes another goal to clinch the game. Melbourne, Victorian Football League premiers for 1956.
CG 56, I should say. Melbourne had won their first 13 matches straight. They fell to Footscray by 13 points in the 14th round. And then to Geelong. At one stage, it looked as though they were in big trouble. Melbourne had been the power team in 1955 and would be the power team also in 1957. And here you see the people pouring onto the ground. And there's the Melbourne team. You can see Brian Dixon there. The captain in those days was Noel McMahon. The umpire, Alan Nash. There's Brian Dixon chasing there. I gather this is after half-time, or else they started the match without Collingwood. May have been some editing problems. Among the Melbourne team were Beckwith, Marquis, Johnson, Melville, Adams, Laidlaw, Athol Webb at full forward, Dennis Cordner, Barassi and Spencer made up the rucks. For Collingwood, Sharp, Sullivan, Tuck, Kingston, Toomey, Neil Mann in his last match as captain. Melbourne led by 2 goals, 8 at half-time, 5 goals, 10 at three-quarter time, and were eventually going to run out winners by 73 points. There was never really any doubt that Melbourne were going to be the winners of this match. They were red-hot favourites. There's Ron Barassi there, number 31, who's about to take over again as coach of Melbourne. This was probably one of his best grand final appearances. In fact, he said the other night that he thought that this might have been his best appearance. There's Barassi kicking for goal there. And part of the huge crowd. Big Bob Johnson going up there for the centre knock. Unfortunately, we haven't seen anything of Jack Hamilton or Ralph Lane to this stage. We can't get a clear view of the bench. But you can see why they stopped people running onto the ground. And Barassi kicking another goal, and he was to end the match with 3.